When talking to our host over the phone, confirming that she would, in fact, be okay with several strangers staying with her, she said, "Of course, life is for sharing." This, to me, is what it means to be a Christian. This, to me, is where the healing begins. This morning we heard the story of Jesus and the disciples pulling together their resources to feed a crowd of thousands. Unexpectedly feeding a crowd of 5,000, would that not take a miracle? I imagine that it might have taken everyone a moment or two to believe that they could truly do such a thing. But eventually they gave way to trust and to love and to creativity, and the people were taken care of. This is the kind of Christianity I see sprouting up in this congregation. Your acts of love are frequent and vast. I think this church knows a thing or two about miracles. Your care circles, bred together, your kind and gentle mobilization when Bill was hospitalized, and your support as the Reddick Hayes family welcomes 5 children into their lives. These are all very real miracles. And these are just the huge acts of love. Love that overcomes fear and discomfort and uncertainty. I want you to know that I have never felt so truly comfortable and accepted as my whole self as I have here in this church family. And I don't think you even made me work for it, which is kind of a miracle. As one of those individuals who felt there was no room for me in Christianity, or for it in me, I'd say you gave me the greatest gift possible. We do not really know what kind of creative solution Jesus found so that the crowd's needs would be met. But he and the disciples managed somehow. I remind myself of this when I think of moving from this community. I know that many of us have thought, what if we never find a faith community as remarkable as this one again? We might even ask, what if my Christianity can only live within this faith community? That's not what the Gospels are telling us here. Life, my dear friends, is for sharing. We do not have to be an isolated safe haven. The Christian love that we share with one another in this space can be expansive. It will probably not be fast-moving or of any kind of grand scale. It will not change the world overnight, over a month, a decade. I think the greatest gift we can give to the world as people of faith is to live out this sharing that Jesus calls us to. I was not able to have a discussion with a woman in the airport. I find it interesting to think this was probably a significant moment of faith for each of us. In that moment, when I felt tremendously vulnerable, I did not feel alone because I knew I had a faith community who accepted me. I cannot say that that would have been the case 2 years ago, before I found this congregation. It was important for me in that moment to remember the diversity within Christianity, and that there are places and traditions committed to nurturing the whole self. When I tell someone I am going to seminary, and they realize I did not condemn them at the end of the conversation, change has occurred. When you move and act with love, great change occurs. I had thought about asking you all to consider outing yourselves as Christians. But I should no better than to ask anybody to out themselves. I so love the array of diversity and the identities in this community. What I will ask, though, is that you please take the love and support that you showed me my first Sunday and share it in your daily interactions with friends, family, and strangers. I hope you continue to march in pride parades and continue to stand at the forefront of all human rights. May God dwell in your hearts through faith as you are being rooted and grounded in love. Amen. Amen. We've now come to our time of community prayer. We'll have a moment of silence, and then I will lift up a prayer, and then you will have time to share what is ever on